God set up a wonderful system where it's dependent upon one another. I was playing ball early this morning, and so this guy on the other team, he just made a decision. So they kept losing, so I guess it's get frustrated. But the guy got upset, and so the next thing the guy said to him, he might have said his name. So let's say Terrence's name is Terrence. So let's say the guy said, "Come on, T." So the guy running out quoted, "My name ain't T. My name is Terrence." But he was basically just upset. So then the next statement he said, "That's why I go for myself. That's why I'm to myself." And what he probably doesn't realize, like when people see his name signed up, he's a good player, very good player, but no one wants to play with him because he's in his own world. So like he might make a decision that affects the team, but he's good with it, but he's not thinking about the team. People get up 5 o'clock in the morning to win, and don't nobody get up 5 o'clock in the morning. I was okay, win. We don't. No, we got up early in the morning. So a lot of times we make decisions and we don't realize the ripple effect of our decisions, and we don't. And God. And if we understand God's kingdom, look, God set the members in the body as it pleases him. Let's look at Romans 12. Romans 12, verse 4. It says, "For as we have many members in one body," it says, "and all members have not the same office." Everybody has a different function in this particular body. It says, "So we being many are one body in Christ, and every one member one of another." He says, "Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given unto us, whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the proportion of faith, or ministry, let us wait on ministering, he that teaches on teaching." And then let's go to 1 Corinthians 12. We'll start with verse 12. Now, this is after he broke down all the 9 gifts of the Spirit and broke down some of the other gifts, because you have the gifts of the Spirit, but you also have gifts of helps. But we'll get into that at another time. It says, verse 12. It says, "For as the body is one and has many members, and all members of that body, being many, are one body, so also is Christ." It says, "For by one Spirit are we all baptized into one body, whether we be Jews or Gentiles, whether we be bond or free, or have been made to drink into one Spirit. For the body is not one member, but many. If the foot shall say, Because I am not the hand, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? And if the ear shall say, Because I am not the eye, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? If the whole body were an eye, where were the hearing? If the whole were hearing, where were the smelling? But now God has set the members, every one of them in the body, as it pleases him." Right, so God set the members, every one as it pleases him. So God has, we were talking about this with a couple last night, and how we're so, at times, I don't know if I want to use overconfidence or arrogant, that we actually think we've orchestrated everything that's going on in our lives. But we're handcrafted and custom designed by God. So as we're making God, you delight yourself in the Lord, and he gives you the desires of your heart. So as we start making choices and decisions, we're actually getting closer, especially when we're obedient. We get closer to harmonize what God has planned the whole time for his body. So yes, it has a individual impact, it has a family impact, but it has a corporate impact. God moves with a body. When he delivered his people, the children of Israel, you got 1.5 million people. It wasn't Moses by itself. It was a body. God has moved, and God has not stopped what he's doing, because in Genesis, he told us to replenish for a reason. He told us to replenish because he wanted to use us for his people to do some things. I've been in my daily reading. Let me see. so I got two sets of the Old Testament that I read through. So the first set, I've been going through Esther, and it's a wonderful story. If there's a Jewish holiday called Purim. It's the Feast of Dedication, and that holiday is representative of when Haman was trying to take out the Jews because he thought Mordecai was disrespecting him by not bowing down to him. But Mordecai, which was Esther's uncle, was really just, I'm only, like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, I'm only bowing down to God. Like, just because you got a new position, I'm not changing my loyalty, because he couldn't handle the authority, so he was taking it over the top. So he put out a decree. The king didn't know, we're taking out all the Jews. And so that's when, the story of Esther, when Mordecai says, well, you got to go before the king. And back then in their history, the way their culture went is you just don't come before the king unless the king calls you. So if you came before the king and the king didn't call you to come before him, you could die. So Esther took a risk, and what Mordecai said, could it be that you were called in to be a queen for such a time as this? He said, don't think that even if you get, if you're in the house, that you'll get spared when they take out the Jews. Eventually it's going to bleed into you too. But suppose God showed you favor, because she had got favor, to be a queen for such a time as this. And when she went before the king, it said that she had favor. And he says, well, what do you want? Like, she didn't get a chance to break it down. The favor alone had the king says, Esther. Like, he saw and was like, Esther. So I guess he had to put out a scepter for her to come. So he came. He says, well, what do you want? He says, you can have anything you want up to half of the kingdom. Like, imagine you just visiting somebody and the next thing come out their mouth is, well, what do you want? Up to half of North Carolina. You're like, well, I really wasn't trying to ask for half of North Carolina, but since you talked about it, you can give me, Valentine. When she broke it down, the story that they end up being saved. So they dedicated those days to honor how the Jewish people were saved from dying. So it's called Purim, Feast of Dedication. So, and when you read through the Bible, it'll start out in a couple of passages where it says, and it was the Feast of Dedications, and Jesus started talking around that time, because what he's talking about parallels to people being delivered. See, people, it's a people. So yes, something happened with Esther, but Esther was set up for the people. Joseph was promoted there was nobody in the kingdom higher than Joseph besides Pharaoh. He says, here's my ring. There'll be nobody in this kingdom that you need to answer to besides me. But Joseph was promoted to save all of us. Because if Joseph didn't interpret that dream and wasn't running the wisdom of how to facilitate during prosperity, the entire world would have died because of the famine. Famine would have came and just ate up everybody. So it wasn't about just Joseph. It was about a people. Moses, it was about a people. The list goes on and on of choices of Jesus. Jesus didn't come and just die just to be dying. It was about people. So freely you've been given, freely you should give. Our life is about others. Two are better than one. We talked about this last week. I want to share with you guys about how we need to be patient as we're helping each other. We talked about the different things of being there for each other, but as we grow together, as God is doing what he's doing in the body, I had a friend call me and he said, so how are things going? I said, I feel like I'm living a dream. And I said, it's just a wonderful thing to be experiencing. He says, well, how's the church going? I said, the church is going great. I said, we're all growing together. You guys hear me say that a lot. I don't just be saying it just to be saying it. It's a difference. I told him, I said, well, people start churches and their significance sometimes is church growth versus people growth. it's a difference. You know, I mean, people growth facilitates church growth, I know, but if you go people growth first, then what you do is there's a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of things we can do. There's modules you follow to grow your church, you know, different, whether it's hand out 4,000 flyers, and out of the 4,000 flyers, well, one person did 12,000. You know, you're going to catch a few hundred people that'll come to your service, and then when the few hundred people come, out of the few hundred people, you'll rest in maybe 150 or 200. Now, you don't know none of them people know you, and you can't keep up with 150 people if they just decided to come to your church that day. You don't know what everybody's needs is. So you end up losing people because you can't maintain a certain relationship and growing together. So when I always say grow together, it's like we're growing at God's pace. And I said, and it's exciting. I told him it's an exciting thing to live out what your purpose to do. But what your purpose to do is being a part of serving other people to live out what their purpose to do. And then it's an exciting thing to hurdle some of the hurdles you have to deal with and some of the challenges you have to deal with. But I said, well, God has equipped us that when hurdle or challenge comes, we've been over some hurdles and challenges. You know, like, so you run a track. If you ain't never seen a hurdle, and then they put the hurdle up there, you know, you run as fast as you can. The hurdle, what's this? Who put this in the way? You know, there's an obstacle here. But if you're used to hurdles, you're looking for the hurdle. You know, it feels better when there's a hurdle. You know, it's something about challenge. So I was telling them that, and then I said to watch people lay aside weight. I said it's exciting to watch people start to see. It's exciting. You know, watch people learn how to interact and to flow together. Because the thought is, you think, you know, when people go to church, they look for, I don't know why, they're not perfect, but they're looking for perfect church. So the church probably was perfect until they came, right? Well, you know, I was looking for a perfect church. Something about this doesn't seem perfect. Yeah, we were perfect until you came. You know, so, and then the other thing they look for, like people not to be upset. You know, somebody not to maybe dealing with insecurity or fear. So they look for people never to be in pride and never to be arrogant, never to be selfish, never to be fearful. Well, you'll never find a church because people are growing through those things. That's why God has them in the house. So you come to church and you sit down, and on your left side, you smell cigarettes. Man, this person's smoking. On the right side, you smell alcohol. Man, this person's drinking. Behind you, you smell marijuana. Man, this person's smoking weed. So you leave out that I ain't going back to that church, man. People smoking and drinking and carrying on. Well, it was their first day of church, too. You see, so so what I was telling them, I said, it's good to watch people evolve and grow. And for us, that's how we look at things. Like we don't like funk, but we understand you grow through funk. You know, like in our relationship, we're going to get to, that's the next thing we're going to get to is help in covenant help. But in our relationship, we're the best of friends, not because when we got married, went down the aisle, you know, these butterflies been following us ever since that day, you know, just, you know, and singing too. They was following us and, you know, and little canaries walking by, you know, singing the whole day, you know, tweet, 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 you know, just, you know, there's hearts and arrows following us everywhere we go. That's just, no. It's like, what do you mean by that? So what you trying to say? Well, if you hadn't did such and such, then it wouldn't have happened that way. Well, you did such and such. Well, it's not really my fault. You know, you know, or so you know, we started out with a teenager. Well, I started out with teenagers. She had them in the early age. So then that's a whole nother story, because I'm like, oh, okay, all right. You know, this is me. Assess the situation.